All right, so you just got a manuscript back, or you just got through meeting with your advisor or your committee, and you've got this long list of revisions and feedback that you need to make to a particular manuscript. What do? How do you know if you should accept something? How do you know if something is relevant and should be used? And are there suggestions that people have made in these contexts where it's okay to politely reject the revisions that they have suggested to you? How do you know what to use and what not to use? That's coming up in today's video. What do I do with feedback? Academic writing tips on handling revisions. Hi everyone, I'm Leigh from teachingacademia.com, and I'm all about giving you the tools you need to navigate academia to make your best impact. If you're new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you get new notifications as I put out new videos every week. All right, so today we're going to talk about feedback and what do you do with it, right? You give feedback in different forms. You can get it from, for a dissertation proposal, for your dissertation itself, if you need to make revisions. You get it when you have submitted a manuscript, right? The manuscripts come back to you from being peer review and from the editors having looked at it. And typically with things like this, you get a laundry list of things to do. And you might look at this and think, oh my God, what do I do? Okay, how do I handle this? Do I have to do all of this? Are there things that I can just, very politely say, no, I'm not going to do that, or I'm not going to do these over here? That's what I'm here to help you with today. So first of all, I know that when you've written something, it's clear to you, right? We all put our heart and soul into our writing, and we think for the most part it looks really, really good. So it's hard to hear other people's takes on our writing, okay? Here's something that I've learned over the years. Number one, take all feedback seriously. You might be reading something and think it's perfectly clear, and somebody else reads it and thinks it's not clear at all. You can disagree with that all you want, but you need to make the revision. You need to understand that somebody out there didn't get what you were saying, and take that really seriously. Don't take it personally, right? It's not about you. Just say, oh, okay, I thought I did a really good job, but this, this person or these people over here are saying they don't understand it. You want all your readers to understand your writing, right? So take it seriously and do what you need to do so that that person or those people that have given you the feedback understand it better. Their questions are answered, okay? Because really that's what we want, okay? So what I'm really telling you here is all the feedback that you get, you need to do 99.9% of it. You're not going to like it all, okay? Now, there will be some feedback where, I've had people say, something very basic, very, factual, where they'll say, like, you didn't say how many participants were in your study. And I think I didn't. And I go to that spot of the document and it says in the appropriate place, okay, how many people, 115 people participated in this study, and it explains it. If you have something like that where you have provided, you've said something like, this is how many people participated in my study, or somebody said, I don't understand how many times you interviewed participants. You didn't say that, and you did. And it's in the right spot, okay, where it normally would be for your particular paper. Don't, in your feedback, don't say, yes, I did, I totally did that, you are wrong and I am right. Don't do that. Just say, so for example, if somebody said to me, you never said how many people participated in your study. And let's say I said that and the answer was 115. Okay, I'm just making this up. And instead of saying, yes, I did, you are wrong, what I would say is 115 people participated in my study, and you can find this information, in this section on this page. Right? That's all I would do, okay? It doesn't require me to make any changes because the information was there. Somebody they missed it. Sometimes people do read too fast, so you will run into certain things where somebody didn't read your paper very closely, or they legitimately just missed it, right? It's not you, it's not your fault at all. You don't need to say, hey, I was right, you were wrong. You just need to guide them to where that information is in your paper. That's all you need to do. Okay, but otherwise you are making changes to pretty much every single thing. Now, what is something that you might not make a change to? So what I have found is that, if I have 50 comments of things I need to change, then I'm probably going to reject maybe one of those. Okay, so maybe. Okay, I strive to incorporate everybody's feedback into my paper. All right. Something that, might not make sense to do, for example, is if somebody's asking you to include information and you simply don't have it. All right. So I recently had a revise and resubmit, and somebody, I had done a research study with an educational app, and somebody said, some of the feedback was, well, this would be great if you had data, similar kinds of data, looking at similar kinds of apps, right? Multiple apps. And I didn't. Okay. So, and I actually, in that case, I contacted the editor and said, by the way, I don't have this kind of data. I can't bring this to the paper. Is that going to be a problem? And the editor said, no, it's not a problem. Don't worry about it. But so I just had to say, I'm sorry, I think you're right. This would be great if I had different, a more expansive data set and I had looked at different kinds of apps, but I don't. This is actually all that I have. So when I cannot make a revision, when I don't make a revision, it's because I legitimately can't make the revision. I don't have the data set to be able to do what the reviewer is asking me to do. And sometimes you'll find this where like a reviewer will say, oh, wouldn't it be great if you also collected all this other kinds of data and included that in here? And you didn't collect that data and they've essentially designed a slightly different study for you, well, then you're not going to be able to do that. Okay. So basically, do everything that you can do. Only talk about, if you reject something, you're talking about like one comment maybe of the whole thing, and you're going to have a very good rationale for why you're doing it. All right. Here's what you don't do. You do not complain to the editor. Okay. You don't call the editor up. You don't email the editor and whine. All right. That does not look good. Okay. It doesn't look good on you. It doesn't help your career. It just, don't do that. When we get some of this feedback as writers, it's fine if you don't like it. It's fine if you want to go have a temper tantrum. It's fine if you want to stomp around. Do that, okay? Do it for 1 or 2 days, right? I wouldn't do it for more than 2 days, and then get over yourself and come back and do what's being asked of you. Because what I will tell you is this: anytime that I actually, whenever I get revisions, although I'm a little bit better about this now than early on in my career, when I would get revisions, I would be like, oh, my paper is so good. Why don't they understand my brilliance, right? But the truth is that when I was done and that paper got published and I looked back at it, I went, oh, actually it's a lot better with those revisions. You won't necessarily see it when you're doing it, but honestly, like there's only, I don't know how many papers I've published at this point in my life, and there's only one paper that I can point to where I'm like, they made me make a particular revision, and to this day I still think it's a bad revision. So in general, what you're being asked to do is really about making your paper high quality. So don't go throwing a temper tantrum to the editor. If you need to throw a temper tantrum, talk to a friend, talk to a mentor, that sort of thing. That's fine. That's what they're there for. But complaining to the editor, asking editors to justify and explain why you're being asked to, do particular things, that's not cool. That's very unprofessional. It's very immature. Don't do it. But do seek a mentor to help you. So on the other hand, you might have questions about how well you're doing with addressing the feedback. That's what a really good mentor can do. That's not what the editor's there for. So if a reviewer writes something and you're not really sure that you got it, ask another professor, right? Ask somebody with more experience than you to take a look at it, take a look at your paper and help you with it. That's not the editor's job. The editor's job is not to look at your paper and say, yeah, good job with this feedback here. You really nailed it, right? That's not, they'll look at it in the end and see what you did with it, but they're not there to really help you sort through everything and make sure that you're on track with everything, right? That's what mentors are for. Now that said, you can ask editors questions. At this point, let's see, I have been sending articles off for publication for 15, 16 years, and I have done that exactly one time. Okay, one time. And it was actually in the last few months. So it was actually after I'd been promoted to full professor where I got feedback. And in that feedback was the example that I gave earlier where somebody said to me, this would be really good if you had different kinds of data, looking at a whole bunch of things. And I didn't have the data that the reviewer wanted me to have. And so I just emailed the editor and said, hey, look, heads up. This reviewer is asking me to make changes and include specific kinds of data that I don't have. And I'm just not going to be able to meet this revision because I don't have this data. And before I launch into making all these other revisions, I just want to know if if that's going to be a problem or not. And that's okay, because I'm not saying, hey, I'm running to see, do I really have to do this revision? I'm not being a little snot about it. All I'm doing is saying, this reviewer really wants me to do something substantive, and I flat out don't have the data to do it. And is that going to be a problem, or are you okay with that? And the editor said, no, we get that. It's totally fine. The other thing, and this was a question I also asked in that same email, and actually this is a question I've asked before, but it's not about revision, so I want to separate this out. In terms of asking editors questions about revisions, I've done that exactly once, all right? But twice now, once with this same editor, and then once maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, I have asked for an extended deadline. So recently I asked for a deadline because I got the paperback, I think like 2 or 3 weeks, like maybe the second week in December, so right when the holidays were starting. And then another time I got it right when I was getting divorced, and I was having to sell my house and move into temporary housing, and like everything was in upheaval. And so I'm very honest, right? Like with the holiday one, I just went to the editor and said, it's right at the holidays. I'm just wondering if I can have a few more weeks. And I said, here's the date that I am proposing I submit it to you by. Is this okay? If it's not okay, I will meet the deadline, but I'm hoping that you can give me this new deadline. And the editor said, fine. And with the previous editor, a different journal, when I was going through a divorce, I didn't lay out my life circumstances. I just said, something to the effect of, I had some significant personal issues going on. Would it be okay? Could we extend the deadline to? And I gave a deadline. So you can do that if you have a very good reason. Again, my entire career, I've done it twice. Okay, I became an assistant professor in 2005. So I've only asked for this twice, and both times I thought they were very good reasons. And you'll notice too, both times I gave the editors a deadline. I didn't make them do work. I'm not trying to make more work for them. I'm coming to them. I'm saying, here, I have kind of an issue with the deadline you gave me, and here's what it is. And then I meet that deadline. Actually, I try to turn it in before that deadline, but absolutely I meet that deadline. So a little off topic there, but I think it's not just about handling feedback, but also about how you communicate and how you don't communicate with editors. There's definitely some etiquette there that will help you out. All right, so thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe so you can catch all of my videos, and head down to the comments and let's talk a little bit. What questions do you have about handling revisions, addressing feedback, meeting deadlines, etc.? This is something that can be very stressful, but ultimately it's going to make your piece really good. It's just a matter of accepting it and doing something with it, and knowing that it's going to bring a significant amount of quality to your piece. So head down to the comments and let's talk about how this is helping you move forward with your academic journey.